Today, it's one of my absolute favorite sopes. These are deep fried sopes, and they have this incredible texture to them. Welcome back to my kitchen. Now, in another video, I've shown you how to make the street-style sopes just the way that the street vendors would do it. But the one thing about those sopes is that they need to be eaten just instantly after they come off of the griddle or out of the skillet. What I'm going to show you today is one that it can be made ahead a little bit, and then it gets deep fried, meaning that it gives you a whole window of opportunity for serving them. Now, this is something that I learned in Mexico City like 40 years ago, and it has always stuck with me. And in fact, this is the basis of what we do in our restaurant, mostly because it's way more manageable for people. So we're going to start with the same tortilla dough. That could either be the fresh ground tortilla dough, the fresh ground masa that you would buy from usually a tortilleria, or it could be the reconstituted masa harina. So this is the masa that has just been dried and powdered, and you can easily find the Maseca brand. I always encourage everybody to buy the Hacienda brand because it has a lot of flavor to it that you won't find in the Maseca brand. Plus, this supports a lot of small farmers around Mexico. What I'm going to be working with today, just as I did in the other video for the street style or street vendor type sopes, I'm going to be working with the fresh masa because I want everybody to see what that's like. Now, I always say that we need to get it soft enough so that it's tacky but not sticky. Okay, so when I say tacky, that means that it's going to stick a little bit to your finger, but it doesn't stick a lot to your finger. So you will notice that has a little bit of tackiness. Now, we usually, when we're making the street style ones, just season this with a little bit of salt. However, in this one, we're going to add other things to it, which makes the dough a lot more forgiving and can be fried ahead and held for a little while and so forth. Well, one of the things that we're going to add to it is baking powder. So I'm going to put a teaspoon of baking powder in here. And then we're going to put the teaspoon of salt. And I've got a 1/4 cup of flour for folks that are gluten-free. You could just leave that out if you want. It's not absolutely necessary. And then I've got a little bit of this. This is fresh rendered pork lard. You could use oil. You could even use olive oil for this. It'll give it a specific flavor. Okay, so we've got all of the parts of it together, and I'm going to use my fingers here just to work it all together. And we want to keep it at that sort of what I would call tacky state, not sticky, but tacky. And we're working in dry flour, so it's going to dry out the dough just a little bit. And what it looks like now, I think a lot of people would recognize this as the look of a lot of biscuit doughs. So it's kind of in that realm. But I'm going to tell you that it needs a little bit more liquid to it. So I'm just going to go to the sink and put a little bit of cold tap water in here, just a splash. Now, this is something that I have to talk to you about because a little liquid goes a long way when you're adding it to masa. So I probably splashed about a tablespoon on there. Don't go more than that because now this has made this the right consistency. I was standing over by the sink just because I thought I might have to give it another splash. But now this has gotten exactly the right consistency. So we've pulled it all together here. And look at what it does to my hand, okay? So now I can pull away, but I've got a little bit more stuck to my fingers, and it's softer than it was before. And that's exactly what I'm looking for now. And then at this point, we're going to put this out. So you'll notice a little tiny bit of it because it's tacky. It'll stick to the work surface here. And I'm going to cut this into 4 pieces. Hopefully those are pretty even. Each one is going to go into about a 3-inch disc, and they're going to be about a full inch thick here. So we'll do that. And then I've got a griddle heated here. You can do this on any kind of a skillet. I would prefer to do it on a cast iron skillet or a heavy non-stick skillet. Either one of those things will work here. But what I'm going to do is I've got a cast iron griddle here that's part of my stove. And I'm going to put these guys just right on here. I've got it heated to kind of a medium-high heat. And we're going to bake these until they are nicely browned underneath, and then flip them over and let them brown on the other side. It'll take about 4 minutes per, and they will not get cooked all the way through. I'll show you what it looks like when I get it to that stage. Okay, these have cooled off now. They're easily handleable. And the way that you would split an English muffin or a bagel, that's the way that you want to cut these in half. Remember that the masa is still all raw in the center, so they may drag a little bit. But once they've cooled off, the masa starts to set more. So there we've got them split. Now, thumbs and first fingers, you're going to go around here and you're going to form the edge of the sope. Now, as you're doing this, you're going to widen it out just a little bit so that they're going to become about 3.5 inches. They're going from their 3-inch size to their 3.5-inch size. And this is the most important thing that I could teach you about this, is that you want to go back a second time and use your index finger to make a straight wall, and you want the bottom of these to be flat. Now, if you don't do that part of it, you will have uneven cooking in the masa, and the idea here is to make sure that when you cook these, that they can be completely done all the way through. So pinch up, that's the first thing that you do, but you're going to pinch up a wall that is kind of sloped down, and it's right in here that it won't get done unless you actually flatten it out and make a straight-sided wall. I say this from many years of experience doing these in our restaurants, that if you want the very best ones, then you're going to have to flatten it out at the bottom and make a straight-sided wall on that. Okay, so this part of it actually can be done ahead of time. You could do this a day or even 2 days ahead. And then when you're ready to fry the sopes, we're going to deep fry them. I've got about 1 inch of oil heating over there. And once I get these all pinched up, I'll be ready to do that frying. If you have a thermometer, then I highly recommend using it because it'll make you very sure that you have the right temperatures. Lacking a thermometer, I have mine hooked up here, but lacking it, I always look for a shimmering that's going on the surface of the oil. That usually tells you that it's about 350 or higher. Right now, I'm at about 375 here, but another test can easily be just to put the edge of it in there, and if it sizzles nicely, like it's deep frying, then you just drop them in here. I lost my little clamp for the side to hold the probe of the thermometer on here, so a little jerry-rigging going on with this thing. And these won't take very long at all to fry, but we want them to be nicely golden. Now, as I said, you could do all of this forming a day or so ahead. Keep them refrigerated, keep them very well covered because they will dry out. And then once you get them fried, if you have a very low oven on, they'll hold for about 20 minutes or so and be just fine, and then you can put toppings on them. There's lots of different toppings that you could do. The very simple thing that we did for the street style sopes, which is just salsa with a little queso añejo or queso fresco, some onions and cilantro, that's fine, but these are sturdy enough to take other things. Shredded beef, which is what I'm going to be using today, but you could also put a little bit of black beans in there, perhaps some fried plantain on the top of it, and a little queso fresco over that. Maybe you have some leftover chicken in mole that you want to really feature. It's a great way to feature leftover mole, or even just a big scoop of guacamole with some radishes stuck in the top of it. Little queso fresco if you want to put it on there. That would be really delicious. Okay, they turn a kind of golden color here. I think these are just about right because they've gotten a nice golden color on the inside of it. When I take these out, I drain them on paper towels, but I always drain them upside down so that we get all the oil out of them. And then I've got another batch or two here to fry. Today for me is going to be a little bit of shredded beef made with my favorite, which is short rib. And I've just reheated that here. We'll show you how to do that in another video. It takes a couple tablespoons or so of filling to go into each one of these. I'll tell you, these smell so good right now. Just pile them in. I like to keep these as sort of snacky food, and if you're going to have a gathering of people, and you want to do something that's really special, this is one of the things that you could do that will really impress everybody. Nothing is very hard here, but it's definitely some of the most tasty food that you would have. Little Mexican queso añejo. You could use another grating cheese like a Parmesan or a Romano if that's what you have access to. I have some really good Mexican queso añejo here. Give it a good dusting of that on the top of it. You could serve it with salsa or not. I will tell you that this shredded beef has such great flavor of onion and jalapeno and tomato. I don't even think you need to have a salsa to go with these, but these will be a hit with whoever you serve them to.